Talk 1580. That's their love song. That was their love song. That was the one they picked. It's a Black Marriage Monday, and I'm so pleased to welcome into the studio a couple who are also publishers and editors of the Los Angeles Progressive. Dick is a longtime publisher, a Viet Nam vet, and an anti-war activist, all rolled into one. Dick Price, welcome.
Thanks for inviting us. Thanks so much.
And thank you for your service.
Yeah, thank you.
In the war and the anti-war.
Right.
Sharon has a JD, a juris doctorate. She's a professor of law, but she spent more than 20 years working at NASA before shifting gears and pursuing her passion for social justice. Hi, Sharon. Good to see you.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
Thanks for coming in. I know that you guys launched the LA Progressive back in 2008. What I don't know is, when did you guys become a couple?
21 years ago, we met through online dating, and first date we had lasted 10 hours, and we rocketed right from there.
Right.
Wow.
So we got together in 2003.
Wow. So early adopters of the online dating.
Yes. Well, okay. So this is the story, and he's going to contradict me, but
Already?
I was single and living with my sister when my sister was living with me. We were both single. And so this is 20 plus years ago. We were single. We were relatively attractive. And on a Friday night, I said to my sister, this is kind of ridiculous. We don't have a date, nor do we have any prospects for a date. And so I said to my sister, who's a year younger than I am, I said, you need to get out there.
Oh, she needed to get out there, not you.
She needs to get out there. See, I had been married. She had never been married. She didn't have any children. I was married, empty nest. My kids were gone in college. I think my daughter was in law school. I think David was in law school, and my son was in getting his master's degree. And so I said, why don't you try online dating? And she said, no, I'm not interested in that. So I said, look, I've done it, and I know that someone is definitely going to ask you out. So let me set up a page for you. And she said, no, please. I don't want to be bothered with that. So I opened up the computer, and I showed her. I said, look how easy this thing is. And I set up a page, and I said, let me just put a picture of you. I won't even give any real information. Just if you put up a picture, I'm telling you, people are going to click. No. So I put up a picture of myself in an attempt to show her how easy it was. And I was looking at some of the images, and one of the first images I saw was his. And I said, look at this guy. He's got a nice face. And it was a picture of him and his 8-year-old daughter, who is black. I said, look at that cute little girl. And she says, I'm not interested. I said, okay. So I closed my laptop. We went to bed. The next day we got up. I turned on my computer, and there was a ping from him.
Yeah, so my side of the story is, since in a year that I'd been separated, heading toward divorce, I'd had maybe 12 online dates, all of them perfectly reasonable and acceptable, and none of them led any place. So I was on my last weekend of my subscription, and I saw this profile of this lady, this lovely lady, one beautiful picture of her, and the 3 simple requests. The guy had to be older, he had to be into politics, and he liked to read. I said, check, that's me. And I sent off my standard message, invitation, and got nothing. And the one time I did it, I pinged her back. I said, hey, I fit precisely what you asked for. And I shamed her into giving me her phone number. And I called her at work, and I was delighted to hear that she was a little nervous.
So, because I had no intention, I was trying to do this for my sister. So then when I got the ping, I showed it to my sister. And I said, hey, Tony, why don't you go out with this guy? He's interested. She says, no, he's interested in you. It's a picture of you.
She was right about that. I mean, that would be the ultimate catfish. A whole different lady shows up.
And the reason I only had 3 requirements is I was trying to show her how to use the app. I wasn't really getting into this thing, but
Yeah, I don't know if you.
And I felt embarrassed because at the same time, my son was also doing online dating, and I got to see how difficult it was for men. For me, I was explaining to my sister, you put your picture up, they click, you're gonna get a lot of clicks, believe me. But my son, his experience was just the opposite. And I thought, oh, for guys it's different because they're the ones that are going out and approaching the women, and the women just sit and wait. So then I kind of felt sorry for him because my son was also having a hard time getting the women to answer. So I answered him.
Right. So I don't know if you've done any online dating, but many of the women's profiles will start with, what year is your Jaguar? How much of the Pacific can you see from your front window?
Oh, no, I haven't, just because because I'm on the radio, it feels a little awkward. But.
Yeah, so just those 3 ones, and then we ended up meeting, as you do, in her stomping grounds, a place called Twin Palms in Pasadena, where she knew everybody, I knew nobody. But it was too noisy. It was Sunday brunch time, and I'd found a little romantic restaurant called La Luna Negra, which was really a nightclub. But it was open, so we went in there, and for the next several hours, we had this wonderful Spanish restaurant to ourselves. The day included a movie, of course. We went to see Chicago, a walk in the park, a walk down the street, coffee. I never had a 10-hour date in my life.
Well, we were talking politics, which is what we do. That's what we do.
And you're still talking politics.
We've been talking politics now for 21, 22 years, going into our 22nd year of politics.
Wow. We were talking politics, and I didn't realize it, but she was grilling me.
Absolutely.
You didn't. It's a soft interrogation.
Yeah. But I, we hit it off right at the beginning, and I wasn't. I was kind of done with online dating, and I sort of did, well, let's do this last one. And it was like I hit a home run, which doesn't, the 10-hour date ended in a handshake. So I knew we weren't going anywhere fast. But then we had a series of dates for several months. A couple times a week we'd meet, go to a movie, go to dinner. And I'd have this I'm not a great conversationalist, but she would carry the conversation and bring up new topics and sneak in questions about my background. And we just had it's like I hit it, I met
the guy online, I'm not just going to just...
You're a lawyer.
I met somebody who was...
I hadn't gone to law school yet.
Oh, okay.
I met somebody who was physically attractive, which is not hard to do, but then also who was intellectually stimulating. And also right away we had kind of a soul, emotional connection. We're different. She's from New York and I'm from Minnesota, and we're different races. But there was kind of a view of the world that was very similar. So it was easy to have conversations with her. They were the best dates I ever had.
Aw.
That's sweet.
And when did you know that, this guy's something special?
He is something special. We dated for, like I said, my intention really, when I put that thing up there on the online dating service, my intention really wasn't to find someone. I was trying to show my sister how to use the application. Really, honestly, that was it.
But God had another plan.
But, he just kept persisting and asking me out. And then finally, he asked me if
Finally,
me.
push came to shove. I used to travel some for my work, and I had a trip to Madrid.
So he asked
and
me to
I
go to
asked
Madrid
if she would like to go to Madrid. And we were still at the handshake stage. So it was like, if you'd like to come, I'll get you a ticket.
And I did want to go to Madrid.
Good move, Dick.
I know. I told my sister, wow, this is a good move. And it was like a 14-day trip.
Oh, wow. You went to Madrid for a while.
We went to Madrid for a while. We went to Madrid. We went to Barcelona. We went to Nice. We went all over the Mediterranean. Yeah.
Because my business trip was one weekend. So I had the business in Madrid. It was an editorial board meeting for a magazine. And then we rented a car and we drove around since we were there. And I hadn't been to Spain before. So.
Yeah. So it was good. We did have a big argument, our first argument, over politics. It was over charter schools versus public schools.
There's a sticky one. So now, did you come back a couple?
Yes.
Yeah.
We did, and we've been together ever since.
But I thought it was headed that direction. Not guaranteed, but I thought we were going in a great direction from that first date. I never had a date like that, and clearly I could tell she liked me, and I certainly liked her, and I was delighted. Pulled me right out of my doldrums and pulled her away from her cats
and her sister. So you guys also work together. You have the LA Progressive,
Right.
which can be the death knell for some couples.
We're together 24/7 every single day. And even like during COVID, I heard people talk about how difficult it was to stay indoors, and we were that's how we were. Our offices in our home. We publish every day.
A lot of couples break up. Broke up during COVID.
But
just too much love time.
I know a lot of people couldn't do this. I mean, we're literally with each other 24/7 every day.
Yeah.
And a lot of couples couldn't do that, but it gives us real strength. I mean, I recommend, and right from the beginning, when we first got together and had these full-time jobs, rather than her try to pull me into her large network of friends in Pasadena, or me pull her into my smaller group of friends in the South Bay, we said, let's find some things we do together, and built our life together. So we found a church, neighborhood Unitarian Universalist church that neither of us knew anything about, but fit us and really worked for us for quite a while. We joined a local Dem club because we were into politics. So we kind of started right from the start, even before when we had jobs, we started spending all our other time together. I recommend it to people if you can hang with it.
Well, there was a strategy behind it because both of us had been married before, and we understood the need. We knew
some
that
of
we
us
were
have
not
been
going to
married
have.
several times before.
Yeah, some of us have been married several times. But we both understood the importance of having a shared mission and how that really pulls people together. And so we were trying to find what that shared mission was going to be. It ultimately became the LA Progressive, but it took about 5 years.
But that started. I said we joined a Dem club, and then they were looking for a new secretary to do a newsletter, and we'd been there for an hour and a half, and her hand was in the air. So then we ended up for a couple of years. We produced a club newsletter that won a statewide prize, and the important thing was we found we really liked working together. And we also have kind of complementary personalities. Like when I was having that full-time job, I was in charge of 14 magazines. So I had a list of things that I had to do every day,
and he's very
regimentally.
Extremely. He gets up at 6 a.m. every morning and heads straight into the office. And I just kind of linger.
And
I'm more creative.
By contrast, she couldn't hang with that. So, but on the other hand, she goes out and finds new stuff for us left and right. And for our publication, you need both. You need what I do. I mean, it's a daily publication. There's things that have to be done, and yet it gets stale if that's all you did.
Yeah.
So she brings in new stuff all the time.
Well, Dick Price and Sharon Kyle are my guests. They're married, and we're doing Black Marriage Monday. No offense, Dick.
Yeah.
When we come forward, I want to talk about that. Family reaction, community reaction. It's been 20-some years, and even though we think we're more modern, it's still an issue. Interethnic, interracial, intercultural couples. We'll check in on that when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
A safe place to go loud.
A great place for progressive politics.
KBLA Talk 1580. Tabitha Smiley's new book, The Covenant with Black America, 20 years later, is now on sale everywhere. This classic text shot to #1 on the New York Times bestsellers list almost 2 decades ago. If you have the original book, you will surely want to get this 20th anniversary edition with powerful new contributions from today's leading voices. This 20th anniversary edition presents a compelling blend of historical insights and contemporary urgency in this critical and unprecedented election year. Get your copy of The Covenant with Black America 20 years later today.
We're thrilled to announce that the Dear Future Wifey podcast is now available on the Urban One Podcast Network. This show, hosted by Latiris R. Whitfield, explores the journey of discovering and rediscovering love and relationships. With over 500,000 subscribers on YouTube, Dear Future Wifey has become a prototype for discussions about love and relationships. Learn how to rediscover love, heal, and have faith in relationships. Go to urban1podcast.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
You're invited to join KBLA Talk 1580 and the Empowerment Congress for a vice presidential debate watch party featuring Governor Tim Walz versus Senator J.D. Vance, Tuesday, October 1st at 6 p.m., immediately following the debate. Broadcast live here on KBLA Talk 1580. There will be a live panel discussion. Refreshments will be served and seating is limited, so RSVP right away at KBLA1580.com. That's KBLA1580.com. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Girl, I have a secret. When I get stressed out, I get sweaty. That's why I use Secret Clinical Antiperspirant. It's like my own secret weapon. For 72 hours, I get Secret's strongest protection against sweat caused by stress, heat, and activity, because you know how crazy life can get. Plus, it's made with advanced odor fighters that don't just cover up smelliness. They help prevent it from happening in the first place. Believe me, if I weren't wearing Secret, I'd be a hot, smelly mess. Thankfully, Secret works.
My friends swim no matter the season, but my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis can sometimes take me out of the moment. Now, thanks to Skyrizi and clear skin, count me in. With Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
So they are the publishers of the LA Progressive. They are, well, Dick, a longtime publisher, Viet Nam Veteran, anti-war activist. Sharon's got her JD. She's a professor of law and also a publisher of the LA Progressive. And, you know, the elephant in the room is you guys are what we would characterize as an interracial couple. I shared with you that during our debate party for Trump and Harris, it came up that some of the black men in the room did not support Kamala Harris because she has a white husband. How did your families react? How have you politically navigated that? Start with you, Sharon.
So I was concerned when I first met Dick's family. Obviously, so Dick is a few years older than I am, and his parents, who have since passed, when I met them, they were in their 80s, I think. They were in their
still
70s or 80s. And anyway, I was pleasantly surprised that they fully embraced me and welcomed me into the family. My whole life, I have been an activist, a pro-black activist, a radical black activist my entire life.
Wow.
So when Dick approached me, and like I was saying, I put the ad up. I didn't indicate racial preference on the online dating service because I wasn't really filling out the whole thing. I was just trying to show my sister how to use the app. And then when he approached me, and I had already seen him on the app because I was showing my sister the guys. My sister had done a lot of dating, interracial dating. I hadn't. I had done some, but I'd made a point that I made a pledge to myself that I was not going to marry a white man.
Interesting.
And I kept to that for most of my life. And then I found myself in a situation where I was working at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. I worked a lot of hours. I worked in an environment where there were 9,000 to 10,000 people, maybe 80 to 90% of them were white. Then my social time was really driven by being around them because I worked there for more than 20 years.
Right.
And so those became my friends, and that became the circles. Those became the circles that I played in. That's who. And I'm not originally from California, so I didn't have like high school friends from my friends are from New York. So my resolve to not marry a white man began to change in time, and I found myself thinking, I'm getting older. I don't even know how to meet black men. I wasn't meeting black men. I attributed that to the growing prison industrial complex, to me not being born and raised here and having friends from childhood and from high school, and I just wasn't meeting any. So I had to think long and hard because I knew that my relationship with Dick, the way that it was headed, was going to be a serious relationship, and that it probably would lead to marriage.
Morris Phillips says it's not the color of the skin, but the flavor within. Sharon mentioned that you had in your profile picture an African-American child. Is that your baby?
That's my adopted daughter, Linnea, who's now a 30-year-old teacher.
So it's not that you had previously been married to somebody black. That was who you adopted.
I had 2 earlier wives who were both natural blondes, but around them I'd had shorter affairs with women of color. I had one thing that triggered my approach that helped this relationship is when I was a kid in the farthest out suburbs of Minneapolis, Scandinavians as far as the eye could see. Across the street was the one black family, and their son John was my idol and best friend. And so from like very formative years, from like 5th grade to 12th grade, I tagged around him all the time. And I think that just colored my life the rest of the time. I was around black people, though married to white people, white women, and my family just embraced Sharon from the start. She even has said she was kind of shocked at how quickly they pulled her in.
I was.
So clearly they weren't tripping on your adopted daughter.
They loved that. They were all good on that.
Yeah. So has it been an issue for you in political circles?
I don't know, and I wouldn't care.
In other words, you're not clocking it.
No.
Yeah.
No. I mean, the reception that we've got as a couple where we live in pretty liberal Los Angeles has been warm and welcoming up and down the line. The only time we had trouble is when we were in the Florida Everglades. There were a couple guys in the next table that were giving me angry looks, and the service was real slow. But that's the worst we've suffered.
Mm-hmm. We haven't had any problems. Just out and about, we haven't had any problems. Some of our arguments in couples that are married have arguments, and I've noticed a pattern. I noticed a pattern in our arguments because we agree on so many different issues. I did notice that we didn't always see eye to eye on matters that had to do with social justice as it related to race. And I'll give you an example. We had a recurring argument. He maintained that things are getting better for black people. And I would always say, I'm not so sure. And I'm not so sure. I think things have changed, but the challenges that exist for black people still exist when you look at the economic.
What's our baseline, though? Better compared to what?
Exactly.
I mean, because if you go back to enslavement or you go back to 1955, clearly they've gotten better. But if your baseline is since Obama, then that's another conversation.
Right. Well, I once read that someone said that when you ask a white person about the racial situation in the United States, they look at where we were, let's say 30, 40 years ago,
right,
and they say things are improving.
I mean, and that's what Martin Luther King said, too, right? The arc of justice is long. I mean, I know those weren't his words, but nevertheless, he said it a lot.
Yeah.
But bends towards justice.
But as a black person, especially as a black mother, I am looking at where we are now and looking at our future. So when I gave birth to my son, so I was saying I was married before. I have 2 children. Both of my children have a black father. And when I gave birth to my children, I didn't tell them, well, things used to be much worse. So,
You're
fortunate you weren't born 50 years ago.
So where do you guys end up on this recurring argument? Is it still in the in the docket?
I can say so. Two things can be true. I mean, I think in some ways over.
I was unfair because we only have 20 seconds right here. Do you want to do 20 seconds and then continue after news, traffic, and sports?
Well, sure. Okay. So years ago, I mean, I think there has been progress among black people, but what I've really absorbed from Sharon is the lives for the black community at large aren't all that much more wonderful.
Interesting. News, traffic, and sports, then more on our Black Marriage Monday, and it's KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Mike Moore. Now here's the latest from the Black Information Network. President Biden says he won't get involved in a potential strike of longshoremen. Thousands of dock workers are threatening to strike this week after labor contract talks with the U.S. Maritime Alliance stalled. Financial experts say a strike would be devastating to the U.S. economy. Arraignment for the man suspected of plotting to assassinate former President Trump at his golf course is expected today. A Secret Service agent reportedly spotted Ryan Ruth hiding in the bushes with a rifle at Trump International Golf Club in West Palm Beach. New York City Mayor Eric Adams is still insisting he will not resign as he battles federal corruption charges. The African-American mayor over the weekend told parishioners at Emmanuel Presbyterian Reformed Church he has no intention of stepping down. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. At Blindster, we offer custom-made faux wood and real wood blinds and shutters, cellular shades, Roman shades, bamboo shades, exterior shades, and more, all at factory direct prices. Don't pay too much for new blinds. Go to Blindster.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
A rough day for both of LA's NFL teams. The Chargers lost at home to Kansas City 17-10. The Chargers, now 2-2, did not score after the first quarter. They're at Denver next Sunday. In Chicago, the Rams are 1-3 after losing to the Bears 24-18. Most of the Rams' offense came on 4 field goals. The Rams are home next Sunday against Green Bay. Magic Johnson's NFL team, the Washington Commanders, are balling. The Commanders are 3-1 and lead the NFC East after a 42-14 win at Arizona. Commanders rookie quarterback Jaden Daniels, who grew up in San Bernardino, was 26 of 30 with 2 touchdowns. In 4 games, Daniels has completed 82.1% of his passes. No NFL quarterback has a higher percentage in their first 4 games in NFL history. Today is media day for the Lakers and Clippers. First full day of training camp for both teams is Tuesday. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Have you heard of the 50-30-20 rule? This can help you spend and save your money wisely. So, how does it work? Distribute your dollars into 3 buckets. 50% towards needs, 30% towards your wants, and 20% goes to savings. Use this tool to help your journey to financial success. Sponsored by J.P. Morgan Chase & Company. With reported hate crimes rising in recent years, California has responded through outreach efforts across state government and in collaboration with community-based organizations for the launch of CA versus Hate. This non-emergency multilingual hate crime and incident reporting hotline provides an anonymous reporting option for victims and witnesses of hate acts reported in 15 different languages through the online portal and in over 200 languages when calling the hotline. Report anonymously by calling 833-866-4283 Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. or online at any time at cavshate.org.
KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 believes in community empowerment through the arts. Tia Chucha Central Cultural is on a mission to transform community in the Northeast San Fernando Valley and beyond through ancestral knowledge, the arts, literacy, and creative engagement. The Northeast San Fernando Valley has a population of about 500,000, the size of the city of Oakland, yet it has no bookstores, art galleries, or full-fledged cultural spaces until Tia Chuchas opened its doors in 2001. Founded by renowned poet and activist Luis Rodriguez, Tia Chuchas Cultural Center provides a year-round free or low-cost arts and literacy bilingual intergenerational programming in mural painting, music, dance, writing, visual arts, healing art sessions, and healing talking circles. Activities also include Mexica, Aztec dance, indigenous cosmology, philosophy, and 2 weekly open mic nights, one in Spanish, the other in English. In addition, they host author readings, film screenings, and art exhibits. To express yourself, heal yourself, attend an event, or volunteer, please visit www.tiachucha.org. That's TIACHUCHA.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Our daughter Jessie loves playing detective.
But since we discovered she has sensitive skin, we've been playing detective too.
We thought the problem was our puppy.
But it was actually our old detergent. So we switched to Tide Free and Gentle.
Tide Free and Gentle has no dyes or perfumes, so it's gentle on her skin.
If it's gotta be clean, it's gotta be Tide Free and Gentle. This back-to-school season, Tide and Downy are giving back with $1.5 million in scholarships. Enter to win. No purchase necessary. US/DC 17+. End September 30th. Rules. Tide.com/scholarship/official rules.
Hey, checking in?
This is not just your flu shot appointment at Walgreens.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
This is getting your entire family vaccinated in one trip.
Hey, Mom?
And a snack on the way out. Get flu shots for everyone in your family, together. Schedule appointments online today. This is wellness made easy. Walgreens.
Vaccine subject to availability and for ages 3+. State and health-related restrictions may apply.
Find a righteous rage and don't be afraid to say what you see. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
Oh, wow. Just a little breaking news here. Dikembe Mutombo, the Hall of Famer basketball player, has died of brain cancer at the age of 58. So sad. Rest in peace, Mutombo. Man, the news is just, the headlines are just flying in this morning. And we were talking with, speaking of headlines, the publishers of the LA Progressive. LAProgressive.com is where you can find them. You can get on the mailing list. You can get the publication every day. Get yourself a little bit smarter. That would be all good. Sharon Kyle and Dick Price are the publishers. They're also married. It's a Black Marriage Monday. And we were talking about your ongoing disagreement, but it sounds like your skills as progressives, as journalists, as political analysts have led you to some agreements.
Well, I think a part of what has happened is, I mentioned I had the boyhood friend and other black colleagues and friends through my life. So I had kind of an intellectual understanding of how the world was for black people. But then being embedded in her family and seeing it day by day, I got a sense that I got a better understanding of the pressures black people face in our society. I mean, if there's one of those headlines has about a shooting of a black man in South L.A., I can see it weighs heavily on her because she's thinking of her son, of her brother, who was driving around the streets. And I don't know that I was fully aware of that before I was married to her.
Yeah, so he's talking about the weathering that we experience, the slow drip by drip every day, experiencing all manner of oppression. Sometimes it's really significant, overt, and anyone could see that this would hurt you. But then sometimes there's the subtle forms that people who are not black do not have a full grasp of. Like Dick was saying, my children have done very well. They're highly educated. They've done well in their careers. My son, by the way, is running for office right now. His name happens to be Wade Kyle.
In what city?
In Lomita. He's running for the city council. That's a story that you should probably cover.
Let's do
because there are 88 cities in Los Angeles County, and many of them do not have district by district city council races. They have at-large races, which Ruth Bader Ginsburg has said, and the Supreme Court has said, is just another form of voter oppression.
Yep.
So
your kids have done well, and then your adopted daughter ends up having a black mommy.
Yeah.
Right.
Which was wild.
And my ex-wife passed away, so
oh, wow.
Sharon has had a big influence on my daughter. We went to a play together last night with her and her boyfriend Jose, and my daughter really appreciates Sharon in her life. And Sharon needed another child to raise.
Because I was just going through empty nest, and then
here you come. Fahima Sex says, I've been following Dick and Sharon since X was Twitter, LOL. Also, first read the Yellow Progressive when visiting LA for Pacifica Radio Business. It's great to learn their backstory. And Kwamel says, for Dick, have there been areas in or out of your relationship that challenged and made you question and examine whiteness as a concept?
Well, I've come to a much deeper, related to what I just said about seeing the effect daily life has on black people. I have a deeper understanding or observation of white racism and how pervasive it is. And then the world has thrown it up. I mean, now we have a political class that champions racism. And so, so I have a different understanding of, but I understand there's a range of people in the world and among white people. It distresses me. It distresses me the attacks that black people take in the media and the social media and the political sphere. I worry about the future of our country based on that, because a party that champions racism controls half of the voting populace, or nearly.
Yeah, the small half of the voting populace. Sharon, how would you say that your experience being in an interracial or interethnic or intercultural couple, because I don't really like to, affirm the concept of race, how would you say it could inform your perspective on the presidential race? Or what would you say to those folks who, black men and women who say, well, I can't support her because she has a white husband?
So I would say that one of the things that I've learned on this journey with Dick is that people are people. And I think we were off mic and I was talking about how race is a social construct. I believe that it was originally constructed with intention to benefit, so that some people could benefit from the labor of others. Keep those that are doing the labor and doing the work, keep them oppressed, and provide a rationale, a justification for that oppression. And that justification is the development of races. But once you get through that, what you see, and that's what I've seen with my relationship with Dick, is that people are just people. Underneath the color of your skin, there really is no difference. I was married to a black man for 17 years. I've been married to Dick for 21 years. Our arguments are a little bit different, but he's a man. Dick is a man, and my black husband's a man, and really they're just men. And I think that the division that we see in this country is a byproduct of this country's original sin, the desire to have the wealthy to benefit from the labor and stealing the land of people of color. And so what we're seeing today is still a byproduct of that. I don't know if that answers your question, but I do believe that until we come to terms with that ugly truth, and we're not going to do it by banning books, that's for sure. Until we come to terms with that ugly truth, we're going to continue to have this battle.
And what about in progressive spaces, especially black progressive spaces, girlfriend spaces? I know there's a lot of judging that goes on.
Yeah,
I mean, people were mad at me for having my then husband being Cuban, even though he was black, but they couldn't get their mind around the idea that, because they don't understand the difference between race, politics, ethnicity, nationality.
Yeah, I had someone question my blackness because half of my family immigrated here from the West Indies, from Antigua and St. Croix. So there's just so much ignorance about race, about culture, about nationality. I mean, even using the word nationality, race, ethnicity, clumping these concepts together as if the words are interchangeable.
But, I mean, I've seen on social media, and this may be, social media is not a reliable source, but I've seen video of, white women in relationship with black men where they just call them the N-word like it wasn't a thing, and those brothers just put up with that. And so maybe there's a perception that that kind of thing is going on, or race role playing, or some kind of power dynamic.
Yeah, well, I'm going to let you know right now. There's nothing like that goes on here. In fact, when Dick and I first started dating and I took him to meet my mother, one of the things we were talking about is hair. Dick and I were talking a lot about hair because initially when I was working in what's in the corporate world, when I worked for NASA, I had to keep my hair a certain way just to really get promoted. And he said, why don't you just wear your hair natural? And I said, because there's a price that you have to pay for that. And
But you changed. You changed. She had a long commute, and she'd have to spend a half hour every morning on her hair, and then rush out the door. And I said, oh, just let it grow, and she did, and now she has that half hour every day.
But I remember saying to you when you met my mother, I said, he and I would have these discussions about nappy hair. I said, don't use that term in front of my mother. So my mother's old school, and a white man coming into her home talking about her nappy hair, that wasn't going to fly.
And believe me, that was not something I was going to say.
Whatever
she said, I wasn't thinking of that.
Don't call my wife's mom nappy-headed. That sounds like a good plan. But I mean, sometimes it is the quiet part out loud, literally, because those conversations are going on around us, about us. And, obviously, they seem obvious. But when I saw that on socials, I'm like, is there some way that this is considered acceptable to use racial epithets? Or are there things you avoid? Are there things you would never say or do because you are married to a black woman? Or it's just the same as your progressive politics otherwise?
I wouldn't have said those things in the past before I met her. I mean, I hated that kind of stuff. But none of our family, none of the kids or us that I mentioned talk that way. And I don't know how I would deal with it if they did. But I've had a various life. I was in the Army. I worked construction. I ran a halfway house, or was part of it, for 20 years for alcoholics and addicts. And I was around some racists. And what I saw is it's mostly they were ignorant, and they hadn't had advantages. And I think that may be the truth of the people that you're talking about, black men that would let their wives call the N-word. It's because they haven't seen the world. They aren't sophisticated.
We're talking with Sharon Kyle and Dick Price. It's a Black Marriage Monday. Of course, I got to ask you when we come forward, which is the secret sauce for a long and happy marriage. And that and more when we continue on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Jeff Davis. I believe my daughter should inherit something, but not the role and responsibility of burying me. That's why I have a pre-need burial insurance plan through Harrison Ross Mortuary. Their plan offers me 4 payment options. 1, pay in advance, or pay over 3, 5, or 10-year time periods to keep the payments affordable. Contact the professionals today at Harrison Ross Mortuary. We can be reached at area code 310-704-4901. That's 310-704-4901. And ask for me, Jeff Davis. Thank you.
Hey LA, be an eco-friendly hero. Join LADWP's Power Savers program and use your smart thermostat to help ease strain on the electric grid during peak electric demand. You'll save electricity while you lower your bill. Plus, as a power saver, you can get up to $185 in prepaid gift cards. Don't have a smart thermostat? No problem. Shop and sign up at ladwp.com/Power Savers program. That's ladwp.com/Power Savers program. To help combat climate change, LADWP is helping neighborhoods have better access to electric vehicles by awarding nearly $130 million in EV rebates to customers just like you. From big savings on used EVs to building new charging plazas, LADWP is charging ahead to help all Angelenos experience the benefits of EVs. Get rebates of up to $4,000 for a used EV and $1,750 for a charger. Learn more at ladwp.com/EV. That's ladwp.com/EV.
Febreze. So my home is also my office. And before I can focus, every room's gotta be clean. That means tidying up and spraying my Febreze Air Mist. Ooh, that's fresh. Febreze Air Mist scents are all high quality. They fight any weird funk, and they give my air an instant boost of freshness. So not only does my home smell good, I feel good too. After I Febreze, it's time to start my day. Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors in an easy-to-apply stick. And it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And when you need more comfort for yourself, try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks vapors.
Use as directed. Vapo Stick for use ages 4 and up. Vapo Shower Max used for adults only.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer whenever I want?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. 94% of Sleep Number smart sleepers report better sleep. J.D. Power ranks Sleep Number #1 in customer satisfaction with mattresses purchased in-store. And now, during our biggest sale of the year, save 50% on the Sleep Number Limited Edition smart bed. Limited time. For J.D. Power 2023 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. To find a store near you, visit sleepnumber.com.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
It does indeed. It's a Black Marriage Monday. We've kind of held back on our relationship shows just because we're kind of in full election mode. But I thought two very politically active and astute folks who also happen to be in what we would categorize as an interracial marriage or kind of dead center for this election. I'm talking about Dick Price and Sharon Kyle, laprogressive.com, where you can go, you can subscribe, you can get some information every single day and get yourself a little bit smarter. Does it mean anything special? Would it mean anything special to you to have a mixed couple in the White House, to have a so-called interracial couple in the White House?
Absolutely. You know what? Until you asked that question, I hadn't even really thought of it that way. But yes, I think it broadens your perspectives. And as a progressive, we as a movement are so weak. And in my opinion, the only way that we are going to have any strength and we're ever going to be able to accomplish the things that we want, like universal health care or just a whole list of things that I'm not going to go into right now, we're not ever going to be able to get those things until we unite. And I believe that one of the greatest dividers is the racial divide, even though you and I both acknowledge that race is a construct. It's not biologically based. It is a construct that was constructed specifically to create a divide, because a divided people are weak people and they can be used, exploited, their wealth extracted. And it just pisses me off to no end that we allow certain people to get obscenely wealthy, and to have so much control over our personal lives. And if we could come together, we could really make a difference. But as long as we have these racial divisions, it's not going to happen.
What about you, Dick? Would that have any resonance for you, seeing an interracial?
I think it'd be wonderful if we had a black Indian president and a Jewish husband and two Midwestern school teachers as vice president. I think that would be far better than having a Yale graduate and a Harvard graduate on the ticket. I think we need to broaden, relate more to more people in a way that I think Washington typically does not.
Do you see opportunity in you mentioned the Midwest in tomorrow's vice presidential? I know it's not on the Black marriage, but since you brought it up, I mean, here's this Midwestern teacher guy who's a little different than the typical candidate.
So my dad had a doctorate, but we're also from Minnesota. He was a lifelong school teacher, everything from high school to college, the dean of a college. He was also a colonel in the Army Reserves. So I resonate with Tim Walz, although they're kind of personality, they're not the same. But But I love the fact that he spent his life in front of a bunch of school kids, getting to know what life is really about, and not in a courthouse or a stock market office. I think now I'm a little worried of how he'll match up against a skilled debater, but to me he's utterly charming.
I'm a little worried too. And as a skilled debater / lawyer yourself, Sharon, what do you see since I opened up that space in terms of tomorrow's debate?
Well, I'm not as worried. I'm not worried actually at all.
Really?
Because I think that Tim Walz, he's a plain-spoken person, but I think that he's got really great instincts. And this J.D. Vance guy, as educated as he is, he and maybe this is my bias, but he's just so transparent. He doesn't even lie well.
He ain't slick. Is that what you're saying, Attorney Kyle? He ain't slick. No, I think that's right. Anybody's got a viral clip floating around about how we're discouraging people from having children because we're requiring car seats deserves to get trounced. So the obvious question I haven't got to yet: your secrets for a long and happy marriage.
So I would say, I'm going to jump in before you, honey. The first thing, the fundamental, any person that would ask me for advice is you really have to have a commitment to be married. That has to come first. Imagine if you were like handcuffed to each other. You're going to find a way to make it work. And as long as you keep in your mind that you've got a backdoor way out of it, you'll probably use that backdoor. So both of us have been married before, and we understood the need to make a commitment. And that's why I was so reluctant and just in the early dating phase to let the relationship go to the next level, because I knew that when I married, this was going to be it. This is the last one. So we're riding into that sunset together. And since this is going to be it, we have to resolve all of our differences. We don't go to bed angry. We don't have a lot of arguments, but I like to put a positive spin on most of our conversations. I like to focus on the things that I love about him, and there are so many. I look at him and I think...
Could you list a few?
I will list a few. Obviously, the audience has gotten to hear some of your pearls of wisdom, but I think that, for me, Dick is the kind of partner that is just easy to be with. Yes, he is. Our conversations are intellectually stimulating and mind expansive, but he's very affectionate and he's very protective of me. Oh, there's a story. Well, I won't tell that story, but he's very protective of me, and women like that.
Yes, we do. What are your secrets for a long and happy marriage, Dick?
Well, I think early on we started developing this soul connection. I mean, it's like we vibrate on the same wavelength. And I always had the feeling, and so does Sharon, that we're in it till the end. And so if a bump comes up in the road, it's only going to be a bump because the goal is to stay together. We're just very well in tuned with each other. It also helps that we had rocky earlier experiences, so we really appreciate of how sweet this is.
And we'll take this final minute. Of course, thank you guys both for being in here and being so candid. But we'll take this last minute that we have to promote your publication. What do you want to say, Sharon, about the LA Progressive?
So the LA Progressive is our baby. We don't have any biological children together. The LA Progressive is what we birthed. And every day for the past 18 or so years, we have published at least 5 articles. Those articles come to us by very gifted, skillful, progressive writers. We're unapologetically, like KBLA, we are unapologetically progressive. We publish articles on issues such as education, immigration, racism, healthcare. Dick, do you want to say anything else?
Yeah, so a core theme of most everything we do is a focus on race and how all these other issues relate to racial equity and racial diversity. So I think that's something we keep in mind as we go along.
Amazing.
And one of the reasons we do that is because we believe that if you place race at the center, this social construct has caused the demise and the destruction of what could have been a fabulous experiment called democracy. I don't think we've ever even had democracy.
Okay, well, thank you guys both for coming in. Tavis Smiley is up next on his Monday morning. Shot out of a cannon. He's got all kinds of stuff on deck for you. My quote today, I'm going to go to Benjamin Franklin. He says, keep your eyes wide open before marriage and half shut afterwards. I don't know if that worked out for him. But thank you guys so much for sharing your experience. I'm Dominique DiPrima. Don't forget, we are broadcasting the debate tomorrow, and we will have a panel discussion afterwards hosted by me and Tavis. So you want to tap in for that. History is now, and we are making it together. Until tomorrow, one love.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Mike Moore. Now here's the latest from the Black Information Network. President Biden says he won't get involved in a potential strike of longshoremen. Thousands of dock workers are threatening to strike this week after labor contract talks with the U.S. Maritime Alliance stalled. Financial experts say a strike would be devastating to the U.S. economy. Arraignment for the man suspected of plotting Ruth hiding in the bushes with a rifle at Trump International Golf Club in West Palm Beach. New York